Hey, welcome to Prime Your Health. I am Dr. Jenkins. I go by Dr. J. And I just wanted to take an opportunity to teach you some things that I've learned in my years of the urgent care. One of the things that I've been noticing, and you've probably noticed it as well, is that there's times in your life where you feel like you might be in this gray area. So, what do I mean by gray area? You have two different times in your life or modes in your life when it comes to your health. You either have this side over here, which is I'm feeling pretty good. I'm floating through life. Yeah, there's things that are annoying me, but whatever. And then you have this side, which is the goal you want to have. So what would this goal be? So this goal is either it's things like you got sick, which is the dip, and you want to get better, or it's I want to lose a lot of weight. This is my ideal weight over here, but this cavern right here is the how do you get there? What do you do? There are so many opinions. Doesn't matter which gray area you're talking about, health, with your health, whether it's coughs and colds, sprain strains and back pains, or if it's injuries, weight loss, brain fog, better energy, etc. There is an opinion for everything. And that's outside of AI. I just had an experience the other day, yesterday or the day before, and I had someone come into me and say, I have this problem right here. And I said, okay, let's talk about it. And they came to me and they said, okay. And then they opened their phone and they started reading from AI. And at first I was like, okay, I can humor this. But then they started asking ridiculous questions. And I said, do you really think you have that? And they're like, why wouldn't I think I have that? And I said, think about what you just said, what you just asked me. And they said, oh, yeah, there's no way I have that. And I said, I agree. And I said, so you're reading off of AI a list to me and ask me if you have it, and you haven't even put any thought into it. And there was two things that were very concerning to me for that situation. Number one is that they didn't know their body well enough to know what AI was telling them. Number two, they're believing what AI is telling them, even though it's not true. Why is that concerning for me is people think they have weird diseases that they don't have, or they're consulting with AI and having no understanding of what it's trying to tell them. So this is the gray zone I'm talking about. And then you have gurus on the internet, people who are telling you this is the miracle drug, everyone's got to try it. There's a lot of danger with that as well. A lot of these medicines that people are wanting to do are still in trial. Now they're seeing some incredible results, and that's fantastic. They excite me even. But there have been a few scenarios where people had to drop out of the study because they had bad side effects. And you need to pay attention to those bad side effects. Not everyone's going to have them, and hopefully not everyone doesn't. And hopefully there was special situations behind that. They're on a different drug. They had a family history of multiple sclerosis or whatever it is that whatever side effect that they're having. But it's still real, and it still can affect you the rest of your life. So my challenge to you is to look at the gray area and to learn about your body. When I talk about learning about your body, it's understanding what it's talking to you about. What are your vital signs telling you? What does your daily life look like? One of the things I like to teach people and help people understand is that losing weight, brain fog, energy, and so many of these things are affected by the hormones that are at your baseline. So like cortisol. Cortisol is very important in our bodies at the right dose, but cortisol can be your greatest enemy as well. First of all, it can make it very hard to lose weight. It can make you tired. It can make you weak. You can always feel like you're on high alert. Cortisol is one of those that once you control this problem, cortisol levels drop to their normal levels where it's actually helpful for you. Then there's ghrelin and leptin, which are the hormones that are trying to tell you to either eat or stop eating. And most of us these days, a lot of people, not most of us, a lot of people these days, they see that signal and they say, that's my halfway point. I just blow right past that signal. My brain's telling me to slow down or stop, but this food is too good. I'm blowing right past that. And then because they keep passing by it, they just start ignoring the signal, and to the point where they're not even seeing the signal anymore. And instead of one of the hormones saying it's time to start eating, you're always eating. You're always feeling hungry because you just don't listen to the hormone anymore. And then you have things like growth hormone, testosterone, estrogen. All these play such an important role in your vitality, your life in general. Some men will have problems with testosterone to where they can't lose weight, they have no energy, their personal lives with their loved one is suffering because they just don't have any drive. And then they get on testosterone and their life awakens. And I've even talked to some women who were in their 40s and 50s who they started testosterone and they could not believe the effect that it had for them. So just because it's testosterone doesn't mean you can't use it as a woman. Women can still benefit from it as well for their life. And so these are just baseline things. If you just learned about with your body, what causes them to increase, what causes them to decrease, and what effect they can have on your vitality, these are important things to learn. And then once you figure out your hormones that are out of whack right now, you can then go to what foods are you eating? It's if you were to look at the side effects of a lot of the foods that we eat as Americans specifically, you'll see that most of them have a bad side effect. But because they're so cheap, they're put in everything. So now you have all these harmful substances going into your body that cause brain fog, fatigue, weight gain, chronic diseases, etc. Learn in the gray area. And I would love to help you learn the gray area because there's a lot to learn. And these are things that I've taught people for the last 10 years. I've taught people how to treat coughs and colds, either the natural way or how to help prevent it. I've had women and men who have come to me and said, I exercise every day. I eat as healthy as I can. Why am I getting sick? And I'll look at them and I'll say, that's a great question, because by all account and reason, you should not be getting sick. And so we'll review what types of things are going on in your life. And they'll say, holy smokes, I am so stressed with work. My kids are this, that, or the other, and I am so stressed. And then I'll talk to them. I'll say, have you ever heard of the hormone called cortisol? And they'll say, no. And I'll say, that is probably very elevated in your body right now. And guess what cortisol does to your immune system? It drops it. And so you're probably getting sick because the hormone that's trying to help you survive right now is on high alert, which also means you're going to be at higher risk of getting sick. And they go, huh? And they say, how do I fix it? And I give them recommendations, coping mechanisms to help bring their cortisol levels back down. And they express their thanks and for helping them understand what is going on with their body. We are in an age of information where everything is at your fingertips. And if you're not careful, something that looks really pretty on the outside can be really dark on the inside. And I don't claim to be the guru of everything, but I am actually practicing medicine and I am actually treating people, and I actually do see side effects of all these different medications. And my second warning to you is just be careful. You have drugs like retatrutide that are just coming out. You have some that have already come out, BPC 157, tesmorelin, MOTS-C, and all these other different medications, which have a lot of promising effects. However, please be vigilant and look at their side effects and who should not be taking them. There are peptides, for instance, that can help you heal, but they do that by increasing your vascularization, increasing the flow of blood going to those injured areas. But guess what happens if you have a propensity for cancer? You just fed that cancer and you just made it grow exponentially. And if you thought you had a problem before, now you have a big problem. And do I agree with everything in medicine? No, not even close. I think it's the most frustrating thing when my medical boards, my medical people tell me that this is the rule and this is the rule that everyone should live by and it's never going to change. And then the very next year they'll say, okay, we have new guidelines. Here's the new guideline. This is the one you stand by now. So for me to say, sorry about that. So for me to say, this is what you have to do, I say that very loosely because this is what you have to do right now because it can change tomorrow. And so understanding your body, learning how your body works and learning what's best for your body is what I want you to do. I want you to learn about your body. I want you to understand how it works, how it functions. And based on what you learn from what you've done, you'll understand what you should be doing. I've seen a lot of people, when they take care of their body, they get off their diabetic medications, their high blood pressure medications. They don't need to be on chronic medications because that's not a problem. I have a friend of mine who came and saw me the other week, and he said, "How you doing?" We chit-chatted, all this kind of stuff. And I asked what was new with them, and they said, "I actually just got diagnosed with diabetes about 2 months ago." And I went, "What? I'm so sorry." And he said, "It was a wake-up call." He said, "I'm in medical. I'm aware of what all these things are." And he said, "I just started a business, and I have this business on the side, this business on the side, and I just forgot about my own health. And so when my sugars went through the roof and they diagnosed me with diabetes and said I had to be on insulin, I said, no, thank you." And then he started doing his own research, and he found the carnivore diet. And he said, the carnivore diet has been incredible for me. He said, one, I've lost 50 pounds. Two, because I've lost the 50 pounds, I'm no longer taking insulin. I no longer have diabetes. And three, he said, my blood pressure used to be through the roof. And when I started a carnivore diet, it's normal. And so he came to me saying he's never felt better. He's feeling fantastic and amazing. And I've been making these videos. I've been thinking about this program for so long. And that just reinforced the importance of everyone learning what's best for them. And it starts with understanding the hormones that are already here, weeding out the foods that are bad for you, and then figuring out your exercise. Because there's another big secret for you. The muscles that you create are the very ones that are burning your calories. So learn your hormones, look at your diet, look at the foods you're eating, evaluate your diet. How many of the bad foods are you eating? And then start looking at exercise. Don't hit it hard the first day or you'll never do it again. You got to start small. Walk out to the mailbox, walk to the backyard, walk around the block, etc. And then start slowly introducing things. The idea is to not make you hate it forever. The idea is to say, okay, I actually felt refreshed when I went outside this time. Or I really like the way I feel when I exercised that last time. I feel like I have so much mental clarity. If you are someone who has diabetes, even type 1 diabetes, there are treatments for you that can actually absolutely help you. For instance, I have another family member who has type 1 diabetes, and they just started on tirzepatide. That is one of those things that was kind of this gray area. You don't want to put anyone on tirzepatide because they have type 1 diabetes. They need insulin. Turns out that people who have type 1 diabetes actually can benefit a lot from tirzepatide. And this family member of mine said they lost 50 pounds, which was huge for them because they've been trying to lose weight forever. And type 1 diabetics know how hard that is. And number two, their A1C dropped 2 full points, which for them, they had the hardest time regulating their sugars. And so for them to drop 2 points was huge. And number three, they have never felt better. Energy is up. Their view of life is even better than ever has been, all because they started a medication that was not supposed to be for type 1 diabetics. There are great treatments out there for you, but if you're a type 1 diabetic and you try tirzepatide, you have got to be careful because your sugars can plummet. Hers dropped by half. You do not do this just willy-nilly. You must be under a doctor's supervision, and you must be very vigilant about monitoring your sugars, because yes, it can help you a lot, but it also can send you into diabetic coma or DKA, which, you know, if you're a type 1 diabetic, is horrific. You can die from that. These gray areas I've talked about, the gray areas are those areas that you just don't know what you should be doing for it. How should you be treating your cold? How should you be dieting? What exercises should you be doing? What can I be doing for stress, anxiety, and depression? There's got to be a middle ground. And there is. That middle ground is actually huge. The things that you should be doing at home before you go see a doctor are massive. And I want to help you learn that. That is the whole purpose of my course, to give you an understanding of that gray or the middle ground. The ground that right now you are watching this video because you're there. What should I be doing right now? On top of that, And almost as importantly, when should you be seeing a doctor? What are the cues and clues that say, I should be at a doctor right now? Anything from infections, chronic diseases, screening that you should be doing. There's things that you should be at the doctor for. I'm not against doctors. The things that we have research on, they're important. If you got an infection, you can die. But your body's telling you when you have those infections. Your body's trying to talk to you about your diabetes, how it was making you tired, weak, you're peeing a lot, etc. You need to see your doctor for those things. They need to be taken care of. So join me as I help you tackle the gray areas of your life, the gray areas of your health. And because I've worked in the urgent care, I see all the acute problems, from coughs, colds, strains, sprains, back pains, lacerations, etc., etc., etc. When should you be going in for strep throat? When should you be going in for UTI? When should you be going in for a cough? When should you be going in for your sinuses? And then, I didn't mention this yet, I also own an IV vitamin therapy company, and we've been treating people with weight loss. And I've seen a lot of experience. I've had a lot of experience with that as well as before Wegovy, semaglutide and tirzepatide came out. I was using the old medications when I worked in primary care. The phentermine topiramate was the big one that I would use a lot. Doesn't work well, and if you're not doing the exercise and dieting, it's just not going to work out well at all. I've been there, I've done that, and I hope to help you weave your way through this maze of life. So I hope to be able to help you, and I hope that this little chat that I've had with you right now can give you some insight and understanding about how to help your health. I hope to see you soon, and I hope to be able to help you. If you want to join my free webinar, I have another one coming up on the 30th of July and another one a month after that. So jump in. I'd love to talk to you more about those. Thanks.